everybody. Welcome to Spirit Road. So happy you're all here today. Hi, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Today, I'm so excited because we have Amber with us, and she is an incredible being, and I'm delighted to have you here so we can chat with you for a change. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes. So thought maybe we could jump into would love to hear where your journey with sound has taken you. I know that you and me have chatted over the months about the healing powers of sound and the different ways that people practice in those modalities. I've had a lot of wonderful experiences with gong baths recently and just kind of recognizing vibrational frequency and all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I was the same. It started with me with gong baths, and the person that would come through town every once in a while would only come twice a year. And so I started looking for something that would be beneficial to kind of close the gaps because I didn't feel like that was enough. For me, the energy of the gongs moves things that I don't necessarily know that I address either, consciously or unconsciously. And so it was changing me on I could feel it changing me on kind of a physical level and knew that it was super beneficial. And so I started to look for different things that I could use that maybe had the same benefits. Because for me, not that gongs are super loud, but the intensity of those vibrations is really what resonated with me the most. And so I did some research on some vibroacoustic beds, which basically they vibrate to music, and found one that was fairly new to the market. And so I took the leap and signed up to get it, and then also looked for some courses to take to kind of make sure that I was making it beneficial to myself. And so that's kind of what started me on the path to going down and educating myself on the solfeggio scale and where that concept started and how they use it scientifically even now, and how that's developing. And really the concept to me of the fact that we could use hertz and vibration to basically shake toxins out of your body is an incredible thing. And it changes mental health in some aspects. And so it was really interesting to me that I could address some things that I wanted to address without having to talk about it, because I'm not really good at that.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's been a journey. I did get the sound bed. I love it. Everybody that's tried it has loved it.
Yes.
You can turn it up and down for intensity, and I just find it's such a beneficial thing to add to everything else that we're doing. So I find it really cool.
So when you're listening to the music, what frequency do you find works best for you, or does it shift depending on what you want to experience, or maybe the mood you're in that moment?
It does shift, yeah. So it shifts with the frequency, and it also shifts with the intensity also. So there's one that I really love. It's called Light Warrior, and it's a drum beat. So it's very tribal drums, and really motivating in terms of kind of self-empowerment. That's really one of my favorite ones. I resonate a lot with it. And it also, that one particularly allows me to kind of travel back in my timeline to clear some things in previous experiences. And that has been super beneficial also. It's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh. Now, can you use the sound, the frequencies without the bed as well? Or does it seem to work better if you're also laying on the vibrating
Yeah.
surface?
I mean, you can listen to hertz and binaural beats, and it really benefits just in sound itself.
Okay.
It tickles parts of your brain that really help in triggering those other areas of your body as well. And you can meditate with it. That's really what I do in the morning. Is I found this Om chant on YouTube, because you can find anything on YouTube. And that actually helps me channel in the morning. And so it's just kind of experimenting with what resonates with you either for the day or in general, because it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
There is something that's really impactful about being able to feel the vibrations in your body.
Yeah.
Even noticing, like, even listening to, say, like a gong bath or something, there's definitely this relaxation, meditational kind of thing that happens, and you're resonating with the frequency. But having that done in person a few times recently, when you're in the room with the creator of the waves and the sound, and you can feel it reverberating in your body while you're hearing it with your ears, becomes this all encompassing kind of experience. Yeah, and it's really interesting. And I found that with the sound beds as well. Like, I remember the first experience I had with one where yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, but you feel those lower vibrations just kind of coming up through you, and it's filling in the gaps in your brain because you're hearing the higher vibrations, you're feeling the lower vibrations, and it becomes this rhythmic. Yeah, I love the way you say that. It's like kind of shaking things out of you. And I remember when it was over and done, I walked out feeling like I'd had a wonderful, like, pretty, yeah, relaxing experience. But what I noticed was I was also smiling, and I couldn't stop smiling. Like, there was this some kind of subtle transformation that had happened with me that I just couldn't put words to. It was so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, and honestly, each experience is totally different. Like, you can be in one place and try it for the first time and really have it be impactful. And then the second time you kind of go in with the same expectation and it's a totally different experience. So it's
Mhm.
really, it just is so unique to each moment, each person, each situation. It's really cool. It's once you kind of get connected with the concept of different frequencies, and I mean, everything has a vibrational frequency, even us. And so it's just, it kind of just opens up the door to understand how we are all connected and how everything is connected, and gives you kind of a deeper understanding of how even our lower vibrations sometimes affect things around us. And likewise, like, you can go walk in the trees and higher your vibration just by being around their vibration. It's just, it's so cool.
So it sounds like, and that makes sense to me, that depending on where you are in that moment, where your vibrational self is, what you're listening to then can have different, you respond to it differently, or you might have different reactions as a result of that. So it really, what I'm trying to think how to say it, it's like it fits where you are in the moment and then helps you move from that, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for those of us that aren't really communicative on our feelings and do a lot of internal processing, it makes it easier, because
Yeah.
those frequencies help you move that energy elsewhere
Yeah.
without really having to talk it through. Because those of us that aren't big talkers and communicators, it's a process for us to kind of work through our own emotions,
Hmm.
necessary, and it just supports us where we are.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm thinking about this idea of entrainment, like even moving away from sound for a moment, like that idea of had that experience just a few times in my life of someone who was a spiritual teacher, um, coming into the room and being able to physically feel how things shifted. There was just something about their resonance or their vibration or whatever that was tangible, and maybe that is the impact of people who are really solid in their resonance or whatever that is, that it's the tendency for lower vibrations to want to come up to meet the higher vibration. So just being
Yeah.
in the presence of that, or maybe being in the presence of a tree or something, is that our bodies want to align with that, or our mind wants to align with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what's coming up for me as you're saying that, Tim, is a lot of the meditations I've been getting and the channelings I've been doing, it's like we're being called at this point by spirit to be that higher vibration, that higher resonance in the world right now. and then send that out to everyone around us so that that very thing can happen. It helps raise everybody else's vibration. And I hadn't understood that exactly until you just said that. So thank you. That helped to clarify that. It's like, oh, that's what we're doing. Because they put it in terms of sending out divine light, but that's a vibration, that's a frequency.
Mhm.
And so thank you. I have a much clearer understanding of that now. But we're all being asked to do that in this
Mhm.
right now in this world because Lord knows we need that.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm hoping this will tie into, but coming back to the sound for a second, like I have a couple of weighted tuning forks, you know, so they look like the sound forks, but on the end of them they have the bells, and so you don't hear them so much as feel them, like the bells vibrate more intensely or whatever. So that if you were to hold the tip of one of them to your I don't know, your solar plexus or something, after you've struck it, you can really feel that vibration moving into your body. And in fact, the thing that I think is cool, and when I'm thinking about sound beds, I feel like this is true too. Um, like if you were to hold a weighted tuning fork to your head after you struck it, you would hear the sound internally. It would like, and it's because we are resonating chambers, you know, the hollow of our skulls and our jaws and everything, or the cavity in our chest. It's like it picks up those vibrations and it will amplify them so that sound becomes almost more somatic than heard. And yeah, and then thinking about extrapolating that to the power of words, that when we speak, we are resonating and we're sharing those vibrations and things. And just somewhere in there for me is this key to like, where does the frequency and spectrum of sound end, and the frequency and spectrum of intention or
Mhm.
thoughts or words, or the, like you say, Laurie, the things that we're being asked to share in the world to kind of raise the vibration, where does that all live in that? Is it in the same spectrum, I guess, would be my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah. And on that same line, you talk about how we resonate with what's around us. And I had realized, you know, with all the energy that's going on in the world, a lot of it's not very positive. And being somebody who is sensitive to energies like that, it was very apparent how much it was affecting me. Like my mood wasn't great, my attitude wasn't great, my reactions weren't great. And I was kind of journaling about that one morning and remembered back to a time when I was a teenager and really didn't have anything to worry about. You know, I was that empath and really absorbing energies from around me, but I was in a calmer state. And I remember being able to observe and just kind of understand other people's energies and where they're at and what they're going through. And it gave me a different perspective of how I approached people, but always with that positive intent. And so I started thinking about how I could get back there. And the message from my guides was very clear. And all they said was silence. Just stop and don't react and maybe don't talk. Just sit and feel it and observe it again and kind of get back to that calm state where you're, instead of reacting to whatever you're feeling, you are understanding it on a different level and accepting it for what it is and maybe sending back some positivity to them. And so I've been really practicing that for the last, I want to say probably month. I haven't been great at it all the time, but I definitely have been more consciously aware of trying to step back and instead of immediately responding or having something to say about what was happening, intently focusing on putting that kind of bubble of protection around me, giving myself some of that positive energy space, and then understanding that, you know, people are people and they have different experiences on a daily basis, and I don't know where they're at, and maybe their actions aren't intentionally malicious, and just trying to gain that better perspective instead of kind of falling into that trap of being mad or upset or taking it through my filter and being offended. So it's been quite a practice, and it's definitely unusual. And I'm sure a lot of my friends that I've recently been connected with can say the same, is that I've been more quiet. And it's just because I'm consciously stepping back and trying to observe those energies again. Because it
That
just,
was, I'm sorry, that was my question, is like, how are the people who know you and have interacted with you now for a while, that are your friends or family, how are they responding to all this, or reacting actually to
yeah,
all
they
of
think
this?
they think something's wrong.
Mhm. Right. It's like, Amber, what's wrong with you? You
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
okay? Are you
Yeah.
mad? Did I do
No,
something?
yeah,
Right.
no, just, yeah. And I think that it's a good thing to point out, right? When everybody's asking me what's wrong, I need to explain to them what I'm
Yes.
practicing. It's not that anything is wrong. It's just that I'm taking a step back and
Mhm.
really adjusting my own energy, because I want to live in a more positive state.
I love the just that expression, positive intent. They
Mhm.
talk about that a little bit in the school I'm in right now, that idea that everyone is doing the best they can with what they've been given.
Yeah.
Um, and it is an interesting thing, especially in a world that's very reactionary right now and divisive in different ways, of like trying to get down to that positive intent. And because there is that tendency when something is different from what you believe or know or whatever, to want to become reactive or to defend or something, to assume that someone is challenging your beliefs by having their own. And
Mhm.
yes, it's a really, and I guess that's why it's a practice too, right? Because I can be really good at that one day, and then I go get in my car and someone cuts me off in traffic, and it's just, all bets are off kind of thing. So,
I'm impressed
Same.
you can make it for a day.
yeah,
Mine's
right.
about 10 seconds if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say that some of what you're describing is also boundaries? Is there a similarity between?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there is. I, yeah, really, because honestly, the one thing that I have noticed the most is that I assume things of other people that probably are not true at all. I don't know who they are. They're not, you know, walking out in front of me because they mean to. It's that they're just not paying attention. And that's definitely a boundary. I mean,
Mhm.
to be really what other people think is none of your business, right? And so it's really what your own state is. And speaking of boundaries, my one of my children is now of age, and that the change in that relationship like came out of left field for me. Like I didn't see it coming. And that was another big shift in the last month, is that, instead of leading them, it's I have to let them go and experience life and not overstep those boundaries and tell them what to do, or you know berate them for not doing what I think they should do. It's really up to them now, and it's definitely shifted our relationship a little bit. And um, there were pain points that I had to really learn from and really grow from again. And you think you're old enough that you just know enough that you don't have to go through those severe experiences anymore. I don't ever think that stops, but it was uncomfortable, especially for me. I mean, it was definitely something that I had to shift, and boundaries always change.
Mhm.
And I think with children especially, you're always shifting that relationship as they do mature and grow older and
Yeah,
move out on their own. And I think that's hard for parents to do. It's not
yeah,
like you've ever done it before.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's all new.
And as those relationships change and as we all grow and they grow up, it's like I have to figure out what is best for me. And I'm not, I've never been just a mother, but it's a big role for me right now. And so it's
Hmm.
it's ever shifting, and I lost my footing for a little bit. And so I'm glad I'm coming back to, more graceful, peaceful state. That one was hard.
I love that. Yeah. And Tim, you're going to be going through that too, because you have a son who's growing up. So,
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. It's been on my mind a little bit, in the sense that you can start driving at 14 in Kansas, like get a provisional license where if an adult goes with you, you can start learning. And so in this short span of time, he's grown to be taller than I am, and he is driving and asserting his independence in different ways. And then just yesterday, someone said to me, I had a friend say to me, it's like, how is it that any of us have gotten as far as we have when we don't have any training? This whole being human thing, this whole, it's like everybody's figuring things out as they go. And for me, that brought up the memory of being left at the front door with our son when, we just got out of the hospital when he was first born. And, I go to get the car and I go to pick up my wife and son, and we get in the car and we drive away, and it's like, they're just going to let us drive away with this. I mean, there's these moments in life where you realize that, yeah, sometimes you're just wading into the great unknown. Other people have done it, but it's not in your experience. It's nothing you can compare to.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
and look, you've both made it through
Yeah, so far so
so
good.
far.
Far. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I used to always tell my mom, with us, it's like, look, we're not in prison, we're not in a psychiatric facility, for the rest of our lives. You've done a good job. We're working functional adults.
Right.
I think that sometimes that's the best you can hope for.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, just to shift the topic briefly before we wrap up and things, I know you both are in the Colorado area, and there's been a lot going on in the Awkwardly Zen community and things. What's been your experience like just in community and being with other practitioners and sensing all of the changes that are going on in the world? And what's the vibe? Like, if you were to put your finger on the pulse of things, what would you say?
I would say we are all, the more time we spend together, the more it kind of feeds our souls, right? And I would say that the undercurrent of all of this energy coming together is really how we can all be stronger together and pulsing out that love and light to everybody, because it's really all about raising everybody's frequencies. That's very important right now. And even though all of us are different practitioners, we're still all getting that same message. And no matter how it's done, we all can add to that frequency increase. And so it's been a real interesting conversations with different practitioners on what that feels like, because some of it's light, some of it's frequency, some of it's energy, some of it's activity of clearing people and actually doing those Reiki healings and stuff like that. And so we might all have different modalities, but it's all for the same purpose. And it's been really interesting to see all of that information come through and how it comes through in terms of channeled messages and that kind of stuff. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to share about your particular practice, like how people can find you if they want to learn more?
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, you can always find me on awkwardlyzen.com. I am one of the practitioners listed there on the website. I also have another website called embersandamber.com. I generally do intuitive energetic channeling, which means that I tune into everybody's specific, I call it a radio frequency, because everybody has their unique frequency. And then we just channel messages from there. And it could be from guides or higher self or people that have crossed over. Super fun to see how that comes through for everyone. It's different for everyone. So I always love doing channel messages, but I also do in the Denver area provide sessions on the sound bed. It's actually right there.
Yeah.
And I take it to our fairs, and we do have a couple coming up that I think I'll be taking the bed to, but not confirmed yet, but that's all listed on my website as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and September coming up, we're going to do a 2-day fair in the Denver area.
Yes.
And that's going to be interesting. It'll be a Saturday, Sunday at Stanley Market, right?
Yep, Stanley Marketplace in Aurora, Colorado, September 7th and 8th from 10 to 6.
Yeah.
We're gonna have over 30 readers and practitioners there, so it'll be a huge fair. We're super excited about it. Yeah, and then we just did decide that our next 11/11 is going to be at the Althea again. So we're super excited about that. And then we are going to partner again with Gail at the Sacred Way Fair in October. So a few different opportunities to see us.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy fall, I think.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we just finished up with supporting our friend Valerie Lewis, who I think will be talking to us maybe in a week or so, with her first event where she explains life and everything. And she did. So
life, the universe, and everything. And it was a spectacular event. She's starting to plan her Kansas City one. So
oh, good.
Keep an ear out.
Anybody in Kansas City needs to jump on board quick when their tickets go on sale and get them, because she is fabulous.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for being here with us, Amber, and thank you both for all you do. And yeah, grateful to be in community with you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure as always.